Hello world, I'm Joe Riggs, an instructor at Tech Elevator with 15 years of software development experience. Today, I'm going to talk about an exciting new technology, GitHub's CoPilot. If you haven't heard of it yet, CoPilot is the result of a collaboration between GitHub and OpenAI. The system has been trained with billions of lines of code from publicly available repositories. It then leverages machine learning to provide code suggestions in real time, right in your favorite IDE. CoPilot supports many of today's most popular programming languages, including Python, JavaScript, Ruby, Go, Java, and C#, which is the language we'll be using for today's presentation. There are a couple of tools that you'll need to have if you want to try this as well. So I'm sharing my screen. And the first thing is we'll need the .NET SDK download. So here's the .NET download. If you go to .NET.microsoft.com/download, click on this button, and then you'll have the .NET. This allows us to write, debug, and deploy code right here on our laptop. The next is Visual Studio Code. This is the IDE that I'll be using to write the C# application. Also a free download from Windows. And last but not least, you will need an invitation to GitHub's CoPilot program. It is currently in technical preview, so there is a wait for this. I signed up at the beginning of this month, so it took about 30 days, but I did get an email, an invite to the platform, and once I was in, it was a relatively easy setup. So I've got all of those already installed. Let me pull up VS Code. So here's VS Code, and inside of VS Code, I have a couple more extensions that I'm going to be using. The first is the C# for Visual Studio. That's from OmniSharp. This gives me things like syntax highlighting, IntelliSense, a lot of nice, helpful tools. Just makes writing C# code a lot nicer. And also, you're going to need the CoPilot extension. I have both of those installed, ready to go. And I also have an empty directory ready for some code. So let's switch over to the code view. And let's first use our .NET SDK, and we'll create a new project right here in the command. So .NET new console. This leverages and bootstraps all the things I'll need to run this is a console application. If you look at it, it's actually the classic hello world. So if I run this, it's going to print to the screen, hello world. And in fact, we can run it right here from the console. So .NET run, compiles down and then prints out hello world. So it works, great. Just a quick note about this. So when you see things that are highlighted like this, that's not CoPilot. That's built-in syntax, formatting, things like that. The suggestions from CoPilot will be pretty obvious. They'll be a little bit darker gray, and they won't have any of this formatting associated with them. So this is out of the box standard behavior, and I'll try to call out the CoPilot code as it comes on the screen. So let's get started and see if we can't maybe write a new method from scratch, see what suggestions we might get. So I'm just going to hit new line, and it's already suggesting for me, maybe I want to abstract out the console write line into its own method. So a method called test. So if I call this method test, it's the same behavior. That's a good suggestion, but what I actually want to do is I want to ask for the user to give their name. So public static void ask for name. And immediately it comes back with a suggestion for me, console write line, and it comes up with the text, what is your name? Allows the user to type some data, console read line, stores that as a variable name, and then responds back, hello name. That's good, but you know what? I actually think it might be better if I return back a string. So let's change this void to a string. String, ask for name. Okay. And if I add this, I get a different suggestion. And that's just the first choice. And I could accept that right away by hitting tab, or I can mouse over and see a lot of other suggestions that might be available. So I click this, and it's going to find other solutions or possible variations on this method. We're using a console read line. We're going to maybe store it as a variable and then return that variable. This one looks pretty similar. Not a lot of different ways you could actually do this. Maybe set a default value and then loop until we get some data. I'm actually okay with just, please enter your name and then read line, return that back. So I'm going to accept this solution. There we go. The method is written for me. Looks like it might have added an extra parenthesis, so I'll delete that. Okay, So I have my first method. I didn't really write it. I just suggested it and it came up for me. So now I want to maybe print out that name. So another way you can invoke the AI is with a comment. So print the name of the CoPilot. Well, how about the name of we call them the user, or I'll be calling them the user. So let's see if it is able to find that. Console right line environment.username. Close. That's kind of what I wanted, but not quite. So I'll maybe just create a string, call it name, and it's defaulting to an empty string. It's close. Equals. If I type in A, this is actually IntelliSense. Ask for name, but I do see that CoPilot is adding the parentheses at the end of this. So yes, that is what I wanted. So I got the name, and now right line. So I just hit enter, and that's all I did, and it said, okay, you've got it. Now you want to write that out. Hello, user. Okay, so let's run this application now. So we'll again do .NET run, and see you there. Okay, so please enter your name, Joe. There you go. So we're already getting a lot of functionality with just a little bit of typing. Let's add another method here. Let's try to do the comment first. So let's say ask, I already did that one, ask for age. Public static int, ask for age. Please enter your age, and it does an int parse. Okay, that works. Tab. Okay, so I'm going to go back up and see if I can get the AI to recognize that I have a new method to call. So let's try that. So I've printed out my name. Let's try it again. So print the age of the user. Okay. Tab. Int age, ask for age. That looks correct. Okay. And then it's going to write console right line, you are age variable years old. That looks right. Okay. So now we've written two methods, and I didn't have to write a single line of code for any of this. It seems to understand where I'm going with the application that I'm writing. Okay, so let's run it yet again just to make sure everything is still tracking. So .NET run, enter my name, it is Joe, and then my age. There you go. Great. That's really nice. The other thing that I thought was really interesting is it's not just limited to writing methods. I can actually create a class, and with just a few guidelines, ideas of things that I'm looking for, it will build out the class for me. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll go back over here. I'm going to create a new file, call it person.cs. It's going to be a class file, and we'll just start writing our class. So public, call it person, public class person. There we go. So there's one take on it, public class person with just some getters and setters. That's a possibility. Let's see if I can open it up and see the other variations on this. Open GitHub Pilot. So we're looking for solutions. Here we go. So maybe you want to capture more information. First name, phone number, last name, things like that. A lot of properties for a person. We've got a constructor. So this is nice as well. We got first name, last name, age as part of a constructor. Then we also have an overloaded constructor and also an overridden string method. Wow, that's actually pretty good. Let's take this one. It's pretty close out of the box, but what I actually wanted was just the name to be its own property. So I'm going to get rid of last name and just use name here. So I have a name property. That's fine like that. I'll get rid of this. I'll just rename this to name. Name, yes. Do the same thing here. Delete this. Name. Name is just going to be equal to, oh, okay, interesting. So if I wanted to allow two parameters to be passed in, I could then use a string and combine those together. Actually, okay, that works for me. Let's do it like that. And then age is going to be equal to age. That's fine as well. And then we're just going to get rid of this string interpolation and just say name right here. So get rid of that, name. So we've written almost exactly what I wanted out of the box. And and you may have seen there, as I was making changes to that code, it was picking those up. So I changed, removed the property up here and just made it name. And it realized that right away as I was working with this constructor that says, hey, take the first name and the last name from the constructor, add those together, and now you've got your name. And then age as well. Okay. This class looks okay. I think I might be missing a curly brace at the end, so I'll add that. Okay, looks happy now. So let's go back over to our program and see if we can't leverage this class that just got created. Go back to program, and let's say create a new person. Create a new person. Person. So type person equals a new instance of the person class, taking the variables that we already had available, name and age, and passing them in. So this is actually exactly what I wanted. What if I wanted to print that person's name? Oh, this is using the old constructor, so I kind of forgot about that. So I'll have to add a second parameter here to kind of fake the middle name or the last name. So we'll just say Briggs, my last name. Okay, great. Let's see if we can't print out that person. So console write line person, and it's actually calling the overridden toString method. It's pretty good. Okay, let's run it again, see what we've got. We've now created a new instance of that class that essentially CoPilot created for us from scratch. So .NET run, and it's going to compile yet again. Joe, and my age is still the same. And then it took my hard-coded last name and used the class and the overridden toString method and printed it out. Super impressive, super powerful, didn't write a whole lot of code, and it was able to guess pretty accurately what I was going for with this application. All right, let's try something a little bit harder. I'm going to comment out these blocks here and see if we can't get it to do something a little more complicated, maybe some random data. So how about this? Let's create a list of people. Whoops, I didn't want that. Let me delete. All right, so I don't want that. Oh, it's because of the comment that I have here. So how about create a list of persons? Oh, people maybe? All right, let's try that. Okay, so it's correctly saying I need to use the type list of person people, and it's creating a new instance of that list person. Done. What if I wanted to add, oh, I'm missing my namespace. So we'll do using, and looks like CoPilot has correctly guessed the namespace that I need. So yeah, that's actually right. Thank you for that. So now I know what a list is in this program. And I can go back to here and let's say, how about add 5 random people to the list. Okay. Well, this looks pretty good. So we've got a loop set up and it's going to add, but what is random name, random age? Okay, so let's see what else we have available for us right now before I commit to that one. So it looks like, yeah, not getting a lot of great suggestions here. So I'm going to go back and try that. I think if I accept that method, it will actually, okay, so I have a couple of undefined methods at first. So let's tab it out. Random name, or random age are not defined yet. So let's go down here and define them. Okay, public, static, random name. And here we go. So it creates an array of strings, returns, uses the random number generator, and returns, that's an interesting snippet there. It returns a random name based on the random number generator 0 to the names.length. This looks pretty good. So random name, done. We need also a public static. That's what the problem was. I was missing the return type. String. Thank you. And is it random? Is it not knowing what random is? Object reference. Oh, so I'm actually missing something here. Interesting. So random. There we go. So not quite perfect. So we'll switch this out. RND. Okay, now it's happy. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of this. And let's create a new method for the random age. So go back here. And this is going to be an int, I believe. We'll do public, static, int, random, there it is, random age. So pick a number between 1 and 100. That looks good. And the method is now happy. Everything works here. So I now have 5 random people added to my list. Great. So the last thing we want to do is print out all of those people. Let's see how that works. So I'm going to say, tab it over, print the list of people. Yes. For each person and people. Yes. Okay. That looks good. Let's run it. .NET run. There we go. And I did hard code those values, so that wasn't quite a perfect implementation there, but it looks like the random generation is working well, and it actually is creating new elements and then looping through them. And I know from experience, this is something I always forget. Random, how do I get a random number? What's that method? What's that library or whatever that I need to call? And it got it pretty quickly right away for me, so I didn't really have to think about it. Found some random names, generated them. So that is the basic rundown of CoPilot's functionalities. Very interesting, very impressive technology. Just some final thoughts on what it is. I think it's very nice to have what I essentially think is Stack Overflow right here built into VS Code. As I'm writing code, I'm getting the things that I might be looking up. So my Google search would be how to get a random number between 1 and 100. The AI predicted that question, went out and gave me the solution. So without having to copy and paste that from GitHub and then format it to my needs, it was already there. And I never left VS Code, just right here in the IDE. Very nice. Clearly it's not perfect. It did miss a couple of things, but some of that was just not quite what I was looking for. Some of the syntax wasn't quite correct. So it's not 100% accurate, doesn't work all of the time, but it's pretty good. I think it's a super nice tool, and I can see myself getting used to having this AI pair programmer partner right here all the time. I like it. I don't think it's going to replace developers anytime soon, clearly. And I also don't think that it would be a good tool for entry-level or junior developers just starting out to use something like this. I think it's probably too much. You need to learn the fundamentals and learn what it is you're looking for, and then apply those suggestions in the correct way. So it's a great tool once you have an understanding of the fundamentals and know what you're looking for in terms of writing code. So I wouldn't jump right in and think that you could write some C# code without knowing anything just by writing comments. You'll write something, but it won't be good code. But overall, I really like it. I can see myself getting used to it. I do appreciate you watching, and I hope if you have any questions to let me know, Joe Riggs at Tech Elevator. And if you're interested in this topic or any other technology related materials, I strongly suggest you go to techelevator.com, and we have a lot of really great really great resources on our website where we have learned codes, we have other videos just like this one with other instructors covering great content and talking about interesting subjects. So that's all I have for now, and thank you for watching. Bye.